This becomes a very powerful and beautiful thing, and I recommend you to reflect on that. Reflect on that when you read the suttas, when you read what the Buddha taught, and know that whatever is in there is only for our benefit and nothing else. So when you read it, if you think that something is difficult to understand, don't get upset, don't get irritated, because it comes from a pure place. It comes from something very beautiful. If you can't understand it, instead just put it to one side and say, okay, don't understand what this means, I'm not going to bother with it now, and then come back to it later on. So those are the two qualities of the Buddha that I wanted to emphasize. There's one last thing I also want to talk about before I end this talk, and that is the reflection that the Buddha is our personal teacher. And sometimes you think that the Buddha, he taught these people 2,500 years ago, he had these large crowds around him listening to him, and that he was actually their teacher. But the reality is that the Buddha knew at that time that the Dhamma, his teaching, was going to last for a very, very long time. The Buddha used to say that I have set in motion the wheel of the Dhamma, this wheel which keeps on rolling, rolling, rolling into the world from place to place, from one time to another time, from one age to another age. It keeps on rolling in the world, and it cannot be stopped by anyone in the world. So this is that wheel of the Dhamma is moving, and he knew that that was happening at this time. So remind yourself that the Buddha, 2,500 years ago, he knew there would be people like us here today, people who want to read, to understand what he taught, and he knew that this was going to happen. So he is, in a very literal sense, he is our teacher, because he knew that we were going to be here. And because of that, when you read his teachings, you find that those teachings are very much not bound up with a particular time or a particular culture. They speak to you very directly, even now, after 2,500 years. And one reason for that, I say, is precisely because he knew that there would be people listening to these teachings even now today.